Well, welcome to the 700 Club, walking it back. Both the U.S. and Iran standing down for now. Still, President Trump is calling for new sanctions against the regime and vowing that on his watch, Iran will never have nuclear weapons. So what happens next? Jenna Browder has the latest.
Tensions are lowering after President Trump addressed the nation. Yesterday, Congress was also briefed on the situation with Iran, and now lawmakers are moving to limit the president's war powers. New video shows Iran's missiles launched at 2 U.S. bases in Iraq Tuesday. Satellite images revealing the damage. The chairman of the Joint Chief of Staff, General Mark Milley, telling reporters the missiles were meant to kill personnel. But Iran also warned Iraq of the impending attack. And no Americans or coalition forces died. Proof President Trump says Iran is standing down. But he did call for new sanctions against the regime.
The fact that we have this great military, we do not want to use it. American strength, both military and economic, is the best deterrent.
On Capitol Hill, a duel of words between Senators Mitch McConnell and Chuck Schumer over the president's decision targeting Iran's General Soleimani and attempts to limit the president's ability to respond to future attacks from Iran.
For our part, I certainly hope our own congressional delegations do not give Tehran a reason to question our national will.
I'm afraid that these impulsive and erratic actions throughout the world are making us less safe.
And mixed reaction from senators briefed by the administration's national security team on the justification for taking out Iran's top terrorist.
It was very well done. I think they've done an excellent job of outlining the rationale behind both the decision to go after Soleimani and the response to the Iranian attack yesterday.
It is a far cry from meeting a standard of imminent threat.
Probably the worst briefing I've seen, at least on a military issue, in the 9 years I've served in the United States Senate.
Republican Senators Mike Lee from Utah and Rand Paul of Kentucky vowing to vote with Democrats to limit the president's war powers. This morning, Vice President Pence telling Fox News the intelligence was solid.
The leadership in Congress, in the House and Senate, has seen this intelligence. And frankly, the most compelling intelligence to support the fact that there was an imminent attack being developed by Qasem Soleimani is, frankly, too sensitive to share broadly. It would compromise what we call sources and methods.
But later today, the House is expected to pass its resolution that makes it clear if the president wants to go to war, he must first get the approval of Congress. Iran says their attack is the end of it, but analysts say there could be more on the way and warn of possible cyber threats. DHS has alerted law enforcement agencies. In Washington, Jenna Browder, CBN News.
Well, thanks, Jenna. In other news, new questions about the plane crash that happened just hours after the Iran's attack on U.S. bases. Did the Iranians shoot down that 737? John Jessup has more on that story.
Pat, Ukraine is now saying that it believes that a missile strike or terrorism could have caused the jet to crash just minutes after takeoff from Tehran International Airport. Iran denies it shot down the plane, a Boeing 737 operated by Ukrainian International Airlines. Iran's report suggests a mechanical failure, but some analysts say the photos look more like an explosion, pointing to what looks like holes caused by shrapnel like those on the Malaysia flight that was shot down over Ukraine in 2014. The pilots never sent a radio message announcing an emergency, and Iran refuses to hand over the black boxes to the United States or Boeing. Several international airlines announced they're rerouting or canceling flights to avoid passing through Iraqi or Iranian airspace. Well, Democratic senators are calling on House Speaker Nancy Pelosi to send the articles of impeachment to the Senate so a trial can begin. West Virginia Senator Joe Manchin joined Senators Dianne Feinstein, Richard Blumenthal, and others saying it's time to turn over the articles. The House passed 2 articles of impeachment against President Trump back in December, but Speaker Pelosi says she won't send them until Senate Majority Leader Mitch McConnell reveals more details about the trial process. McConnell responded, quote, saying there will be no haggling with the House over Senate procedure. Pat?
Well, it's time to get that thing done. I mean, Pelosi is playing a game that is just blowing up in her face. They said we have to impeach because it's an imminent threat. We've got to do it right now. The president is out of control, and we've got to get this impeachment. Once they pass the impeachment, then she says, well, I've got to wait until I find out what the Senate's going to do. The Senate should not be controlled by the House. The Speaker of the House is acting on her own, and it's blowing up in her face. And so now the fact that there are Democratic defectors in the Senate who are saying, let's get this thing over with. And I think, you know, there was a statement in the old days: politics stops at the ocean, at the banks of the Atlantic or the Pacific. We don't carry our politics into national affairs, and the president cannot be under this problem when he's facing incredible dangers from a number of sources. Well, there's something else that's been going on. It's called flu, and John has that word.
That is right, Pat. The flu epidemic in the United States is turning deadly. The CDC reports at least 27 children have died so far. The tragic news indicates we're experiencing one of the worst flu seasons in recent history. CBN medical reporter Lori Johnson brings us the latest.
More people have the flu now than at this point during the most severe flu seasons in the past decade.
Okay. How long have you been sick?
Since October, nearly 6.5 million people across the country have come down with the flu. Widespread outbreaks in nearly each state led to 2,900 deaths, according to the CDC, as well as 55,000 hospitalizations.
Every year, there are different strains of flu, and some can be more serious than others, and this year's a particularly nasty one.
Doctors still maintain the flu vaccine provides the best protection, and it's not too late to get one. Hand washing also goes a long way towards prevention, as well as trying to strengthen your immune system.
You eat the right foods. So get rid of sugar, processed foods, which suppress your immunity. Eat whole foods, lots of vegetables and whole grains and nuts and seeds.
Vitamin D can also help.
Studies have shown that you can reduce the flu by 75% by getting your vitamin D levels up, and almost 80% of Americans are low in vitamin D.
Studies show exercise boosts immunity and can help you get a good night's sleep, another way to fend off the flu.
Sleep, so important for your immune system. Get 8 hours sleep, turn off all the lights in your bedroom early, get your phone out of your bedroom, stay off the screens.
The flu is contagious, so if you get it or think you have it, stay away from other people and visit the doctor right away. Symptoms include cough, aches, and fever. New antiviral medications can be prescribed to lessen the severity and duration of the illness. They work best if taken within 2 days of getting sick. Lori Johnson, CBN News.
Pat, Lori's report there gives us great tips on how to avoid the flu.
As you know, this vitamin D is a big deal, and vitamin D, my reading has indicated, is really a hormone rather than a vitamin. And if it's coupled with a little bit of sunlight, it'll make a huge difference. But you can take a huge dose of vitamin D without infecting yourself, because if you're exposed to the sun, you might get 1 million units of vitamin D just by sitting in the sun. So.
Yeah, easier to do in the summer than right now.
Exactly. Well, I don't take shots and stuff, but I did what Laurie says. I eat very properly. I'm taking all kinds of vitamins, and let's just stay strong.